So I've just finished all the modifications that I wanted to do on my ASP Wave 2 parts, and thought it was a good time to kind of talk about my experience and how things have gone. So my original idea was, as you guys might have seen it, to build an electronics chassis around the switch section, so that the emitter and the body pieces could be switched out, just screwing them off and screwing other things on, and without having to worry about fiddling with the electronics, since it's all built into the switch section in a one-piece chassis. So it took me a couple of tries to get the chassis small enough where I could fit most of the ASP parts. And some of the other challenges that I bumped into were not all the ASP parts have the same inner diameters. Some of them have weird lips on the inside for reasons that I'm not sure of. And most of the parts have this brushed aluminum finish, but some of them do not. And so I had a lot of work cut out for me to try to get everything to look nice and uniform. I didn't want like a odd toned silver powder coat on one part and then bare metal on another part. I wanted everything to look like it belonged together. So all in all, sanding off all the parts and refinishing them probably took about 60 hours. I had a lot of parts to sand. And then I had to sand the threading to get things to clock the way that I wanted. I did that by hand, so that I didn't screw up any of the parts, and that also took a considerable amount of time. This part was probably the most frustrating part. It came with a really nice looking chrome plate, and you can see that on the little bunny ear, I guess, extension here. And I left those like that because I kind of liked the dual tone look, but I still wanted it to overall match all my other parts. And so to get the chrome to work, there was I'm assuming a copper plate on top of the aluminum and then chrome on top of that. So it was a tremendous amount of sanding. I started sanding with the Dremel, and it did not work out well. So I fixed a little patch up that got messed up and then started sanding that by hand. This took a really long time, but I'm really happy with how it looks now, and that it blends with everything else. Another issue that I had, and people that have bought Saber Forge parts before will probably be aware of, that usually there's a lot of sharp edges and corners, so it took a long time to go through everything and carefully sand down edges so that they were comfortable to hold. These T-tracks are really nice. They're metal, they screw in, they're not glued. It's really, really nice, except the drill and tapping that they did on the T-tracks left just very sharp edges. Even just trying to handle it, I cut myself twice on the first day. And so I decided to deal with that. So I had to sand all of these, and then I had to re-powder coat them black. And I actually chose to do it, you can't really see very well, but I did like kind of a textured coat, and it feels real nice now, nice and smooth. It doesn't hang on my fingers or anything like that, so that felt real great. Overall, I would say if you're wanting to get into ASP parts, it's been a really cool experience, but it takes a lot of time, probably at least 100 hours I've put into it. So it's really a hobby. It's not something to throw together, because I don't think you'll be happy with that. Most of the parts came with, threaded screws that weren't threaded right, that had to be rethreaded, or things that had to be cleaned up or remachined. And so definitely a cool system, but be ready to do some work to make it work out fine. My next project is I'm going to try to build the internals to this so I can have a NeoPixel adapter on the bottom and have it feed into the crossguard. That'll be what I work on next.